Welcome to That Wrestling Show, the podcast where all pro wrestling matters. I am Bill, joined as always by Fro. How we doing this week, Fro?
We are doing pretty well, I would say.
That's wonderful because we should all be happy in this weird time.
I can't really complain. I was talking to my dad the other day. I was like, it's boring to be inside, but it's not like I'm going to stay here forever and ever.
Right.
And ever. And ever.
And ever.
And ever.
And ever.
And ever.
And ever.
Yes. Just feels like that.
This week, we are going to review the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, which took place this past Sunday. Plus, we're going to discuss the Masked Singer and how, once again, they got the wrong person out.
It's getting to a point where it's like ridiculous now.
Well,
it's so stupid.
Well, thankfully, the season finale is this coming week, so after...
But it's so stupid!
Oh, I know.
Ah.
And we're going to get into a lot of the wrestling news. But we should start with, obviously, the biggest wrestling news of the week and probably one of the biggest wrestling stories of the year. And that's something that we don't normally say on this podcast. When we discuss news topics, we don't normally say this is one of the biggest stories of the year, but this is definitely one of the biggest stories of the year. This past Monday night on Raw, Becky Lynch started off the show carrying the Money in the Bank briefcase. So she was cutting a promo explaining that match, which we'll talk about later, was for more than what the women had thought it was. So Asuka comes out, and Becky explains that the match that they had was not for a contract, for a title shot. It was, in fact, for the Raw Women's title. Becky vacated the title, which we'll explain why in a moment, and Asuka, for, spoiler alert, winning the Money in the Bank ladder match on the women's side, became the new Raw Women's Champion.
Yeah, I watched this and I was like, okay, there is either two reasons why this is going on. Either she's hurt, or maybe she's hurt, or she's quitting. And I was like, no, she's not quitting WWE. That can't be the reason why.
And then...
Oh,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was like, that can't be the reason. No way.
And then she delivers one of the greatest lines I think I've ever heard on wrestling, where she goes to Asuka and says, you go and continue to be a warrior. I'm going to go and be a mother. And then I loved Asuka.
What?
Exactly. And then I love Asuka's reaction.
What?
She's like, mother? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Becky Lynch is pregnant.
I think I know who that is. Can I guess?
Go ahead.
I think maybe it's Seth Rollins?
I think so, too.
That baby, when he starts wrestling, will be a very good wrestler.
Although I got a lot of crap on our Facebook group the other day because I posted a video from Kayfabe News, which, if you guys haven't watched, is actually a pretty
very funny
video. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of who the potential father was.
Aww.
And I'm like, we all know who the father is. This is just in good fun.
Yes.
Although, if you are curious, my choice would have been number 4, which would have been your friends, cousins, brothers, co-worker, blah, 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 blah. First off, congratulations to Becky and Seth.
Yes.
I
yes.
I know Fro doesn't like the idea of having kids. I know that.
No.
But
I don't want kids.
Right. But this kind of news couldn't have happened to 2 better people.
I agree.
And I'll talk about the legacy of Becky Lynch in a moment or 2, or we will.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a joyous occasion. As an uncle, I have been down this road on many occasions, and holding a baby is just about the neatest experience in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I really hope that Seth and Becky have, I hope this kid is a big, beautiful, bouncing baby, and it has a wonderful life, and it's just really cool news, because a lot of times wrestlers are private, which I totally understand. It really shouldn't be a business, but this is sort of an exception.
And I think I didn't really get super surprised by this, because I was I was thinking to myself, like, there can't be many reasons why this is going on storyline wise, and I think they made a good decision in the way that they did it, because I wouldn't buy it any other way that she was quitting wrestling just because of something else.
Okay.
And who knows? Maybe she will be back when she's done with her pregnancy.
The thing that I remember, again, being an uncle, is the lady will go through the pregnancy. Or pardon me, the man will go through the pregnancy in this case.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's going to need like an additional 2 to 3 months for the So we probably will not see her till after WrestleMania next year.
And I was like, because I don't know if I talked to you about it, but I was talking to someone that is semi-interested in wrestling, and I was like, it feels a little weird that she wasn't done in the Money in the Bank match.
Oh, okay, now I'm glad you brought that up.
Or in... And I was like, okay, this makes sense.
Yeah, because... And I was trying to pinpoint everything, too, in my mind. Because her last match was at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Which was over a month ago. And and I think she had cut like maybe one more promo, and we hadn't seen her since.
No.
So this makes sense.
Do you think this means that, what does this mean for Seth?
Well, okay, now that's a good question, because I haven't thought about this.
Okay.
I think there are going to be times along the way where he's going to have to be off TV for a couple of weeks, to be there for doctor's appointments and other stuff. Maybe, the whole Lamaze class where, they teach you how to practice delivering.
I know it, yes.
We will rock you. But I think for Seth...
You can check...
Whoops! Sorry,
I think it's going to be on and off for a little bit. He'll probably still be, one of the stars on the show every week, but I think until the baby is born, or when it gets close to the time the baby is born, he might still be on TV, but it's not going to be as much.
Right.
And then once we get to, say, Survivor Series, they'll probably do something to write him off. I'm just guessing. And then he'll probably take the rest of the year off and then come back in the new year. Now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm extremely happy for them. I mean,
absolutely.
It couldn't happen to more nice people than
because they were supposed to have been married like a couple months ago, but they had to postpone that because of
the Roma.
Right. Now, my friend Jim, he called me during Raw, and obviously, he didn't see this live when it happened. He read it on Twitter, so we talked for a little bit. The only problem that he had, because obviously the pregnancy is real, is how they did the title. He thought they should have done a tournament on Raw to crown a new champion, and then have Asuka be waiting at the bit.
Yeah.
And then, like, as soon as whoever won the title, she'd go after, cash it in. But
I actually agree.
But there's another person who had his own idea on how they should have done the title. CM Punk. Now, I think it's safe to say that CM Punk is a very smart man.
Well, definitely.
And he has his ideas, and most of them are good. Some are a little, okay, come on. He had his own idea.
I wouldn't go so far to call them good, but okay.
Right. Well, he had his own idea of how this should have been done. He thought that Asuka should have gone in, had the briefcase, while Becky's doing this presentation, or this promo, shoot mist into the face of Becky Lynch, cash in, pin her, win the title.
No.
As much as I like Punk, and I know you do too, what he's done, I don't think that would have worked. I really don't.
No.
But, yeah, I mean, in all seriousness, congratulations again to Becky and Seth on this wonderful news in a time where we're not really getting a lot of wonderful news. And, congratulations to the both of them. Hopefully, like I said, they have a nice, big, bouncing baby that comes into the world, and we'll have to see which hold gets taught first, the curb stomp or the disarm her. So we'll have to wait and see.
But I didn't know that two men could get a baby because she's a man, he's a man.
Oh, right?
So weird.
It is. All right, let's get this out of the way. Masked Singer. Final Four. A Day in the Mask is the name of the episode.
I mean, I think the best thing about this was the impressions of the guest judge.
Oh, Jay Farrow is hilarious. I've always liked him.
He's very funny.
I have always liked him. So, we start off with a group performance of The Best by Tina Turner. Which is like, okay.
Yeah, it was very umph, as I call it.
these are the performances in order. Night Angel performed How to Love by Lil Wayne. Turtle performed Jealous by Nick Jonas. Rhino performed Humble and Kind by Tim McGraw.
Oh, such good performance.
I know, that was the best one.
No, so good.
And Frog performed Hip Hop Hooray by Naughty by Nature, which I actually thought was a good Frog performance.
Oh yeah, I'm just very tired of him singing the same song now for many weeks. I like there's always a hip hop element, and I understand. I mean, Bow Wow is a hip hopper.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's in blood, but it would be fun to see him try to sing something more. What should I call it? Classical. More. Yeah, you understand what.
When the votes were tallied, Rhino was eliminated.
Boo!
Okay, that's the second week in a row where I've said, who's going to win, and they've been eliminated.
Yeah.
Wonderful. The thing that ticked me off about it was
yes,
that was not only the best performance on the show this week, that was Rhino's best performance.
Oh, yeah. By far.
Because Turtle, who I think is going to win at this point, has had really good performances throughout the season.
Oh, definitely.
Well, he has his good days and his bad days.
I will be very surprised if Bow Wow wins.
The one that I had a problem with in this episode was Night Angel.
Yeah.
Again, Night Angel did a song where basically she was just on cruise control.
Yeah.
And it just did not fit.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So, the Rhino was revealed to be former Major League Baseball pitcher Barry Zito.
Who?
He was a pitcher in the major leagues.
Again? Who?
Hi.
Yeah. I'm an uncultured man from Norway. I have no clue who baseball players are.
That's okay. There's a lot of them. All right, so we are down to the final three. Night Angel, Turtle, Frog. They have broken up the season finale, actually, into two parts.
Mm-hmm.
The first part, which I actually suggest everyone skip, is Tuesday night, where it's just here's how they got to the finals.
Yeah, I mean, that's boring.
And then
I have no interest in that.
Right. And then the second part, the finale, will be this Wednesday night, a 1 hour finale. Not 2 hours. 1 hour finale. Because they're going
I think they are just going to get one song, it seems like. I think last year there was two.
Because after The Masked Singer is that hot new game show, Ultimate Tag.
What is that about?
It's the game of tag being played on like obstacle courses.
Okay.
Think of it as American Gladiators, if you ever saw the show, but tag.
Sure.
Yeah. And then also that week, there's a new reality show, which I'm not going to watch, where 15 men are going to try to woo a woman because she wants to have a baby.
Yeah, that seems like a very good show.
And did you hear who one of the contestants is?
No.
It's Matt Stryker.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
He's on the show.
Okay, maybe I need to give it a go then.
You can be our correspondent until Matt has been eliminated.
Is Matt Stryker still on the show? Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Fro, I'm gonna put you actually, I'm going to break this down into a two-part question.
Mm.
Who do you want to win, and who do you think will end up winning?
I think Night Angel will win, or Katie Barris. I want Turtle, Jessica McCartney, to win. As long as it's not Bow Wow, I'm actually pretty, like, as long as Bow Wow does not win, I will be actually pretty happy. I will be very, very, very angry when he wins.
I'm going to agree with you on one of your responses here. I think Turtle will win.
Mm.
I think, for me, I want Turtle to win.
Okay.
But I think the Frog is going to win it.
I will be so pissed. I will be so angry. I will be so angry. It's like, that's the worst.
So,
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you're 110% correct.
Yeah, I mean, with these kind of shows, you just don't know how it's going to end up being, and
that's part of the fun, though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like not knowing 110% who's going to win, and I would be so I would be not very happy if Bow Wow wins, but we'll see.
I just think that's what's gonna happen. I really do.
But like I said last time, I think the most interesting is, are they going to have a season right after this season?
Well,
I think
I'm glad you brought that up, because I did see a post that there is going to be a season 4.
Yeah, there will be season 4, but when?
That remains to be seen.
Yeah, because they could not record it now, I'm guessing.
Right.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Maybe. Guessing, maybe.
Guessing.
I have no clue.
Well, let's get into other news before get into a long discussion on something. Just going to fill in with some other news. The weekly ratings from the Wednesday Night Wars came in. Viewer-wise, as far as the number of people, NXT and AEW both went down this week. NXT had 604,000 viewers compared to last week, which was 663,000. AEW went down. They had 654,000 this week, down from 732,000. But AEW not only won in the overnight viewers, but won in the key demographic of 18 to 29. They had a .23, whereas NXT had a .15. So, again, another successful week for the guys and gals over at AEW. They should be feeling really good, because they had a really good... I thought they had another good show this week.
Oh, definitely. My favorite thing of the week. I have a question. When Vince dying and Sean takes over, who will Sean? Why did I say Sean?
Shawn Michaels is going to take over. Wow.
Shawn Michaels. Yeah, but when Triple H takes over, who's going to lead NXT, you think?
Ooh.
Do you think he will do both?
I think he'll do both for a little bit, and then he might give it to somebody like Shawn.
Yeah.
I think that's what will happen.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, right now, I think NXT is definitely their better product, but that's been the case for
a
while now, so at least a year, if not more.
Well, actually, why don't we stick with NXT, because they made an announcement this past Wednesday. This was not what I expected. I thought it was going to be like, oh, we're going back to the WWE Network. Screw the USA.
That would be fun.
I know. Well, because this actually yesterday, and I didn't even realize this, was the 25th anniversary of the very first In Your House event.
I didn't know that.
I didn't realize that. So, and everyone, you're going to want to mark the date down. Sunday, June 7th, will be the next takeover event. And this is a mouthful. NXT Takeover In Your House.
I'm actually really, really looking forward to this.
I mean, they're doing something right here, which is they're going for the fans because they can't go out. So they're actually using the In Your House name the correct way for once.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Are you excited?
Yeah. And anytime you have a takeover, it's going to be exciting. So June 7th is the date. Obviously, we're going to get matches announced in the next several weeks. Pardon me, leading up to it. Here's the thing, though, Fro. I have no idea what the main event of that show is going to be, because you just had.
I don't think they know that either, to be honest.
Exactly.
But I mean, it's interesting in the way that they could just throw on the PPV call that and just do matches that kind of fit the model of the old matches. They don't really have to have a main event or anything. They can just do In Your House kind of environment without having anything on the line, just have matches.
Right.
I would be totally okay with that. Or maybe they do a mix between NXT people and normal people.
Right.
And by normal, I mean Raw and SmackDown. I mean, there's a lot they can do.
Yeah. Actually, and thank you for mentioning Raw and SmackDown, because during Raw this week, it was announced that they are starting a crossover initiative. Yes, folks, they're bringing back that wonderful thing that Vince came up with last year.
Yeah.
Basically, it is a person or persons get invited to Raw or SmackDown. So, and guess who's going to Raw this week?
You.
Oh, my wish. King Corbin. He's going to face Drew McIntyre on Monday night. That might not be a bad match, actually.
Yeah.
Might not. We'll have to wait and see.
May not.
All right. I wanted to bring this story up because this would have been the story of the week had it not been for Becky. So way to go, Becky. You actually saved us from a bad story being the story of the week. And it involves Alberto Del Rio.
Yay! I so want to talk about this.
We have to do this. It is our obligation as broadcast journalists.
I mean, it's so incredible.
So,
can I just say right away, what a fucking asshole?
Oh, he's such a piece of shit. So before we dive into this, because Meltzer has a good article on this, I'll give you what I had read, and probably what Fro has read as well. Alberto Del Rio was arrested over the last weekend, on charges of sexual assault on a female. He was held in jail, but was released on $20,000 bond. He has this trial, or will have this trial, coming up in the near future. If he is found guilty, he could be spending the next 5 to 20 years behind bars for the stuff that we will tell you in just a moment. So, if you have sensitive ears, I recommend that you fast forward through this and get to the part where Fro and I talk about how much of a piece of shit he is. So.
Oh, I have to listen to this. Oh.
Yeah, you're on the show. So.
Oh, that's too bad.
So, Meltzer did a good job writing this up in his newsletter this week. Jose Alberto Rodriguez, a major international pro wrestling star for nearly 2 decades as Alberto Del Rio, Dos Carras Jr., and Alberto El Patron, was arrested this past weekend on a sexual assault charge regarding his girlfriend. Rodriguez, 42, was charged with sexual assault on May 9th from an incident that allegedly took place on May 3rd in the early morning hours of May 4th at Rodriguez's house in the San Antonio area. This was the second serious arrest of Rodriguez in the past year.
Yeah, because guess what? We have talked about this before. Motherfucker.
On May 7th, Rodriguez was arrested in San Antonio and charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. He was released on $20,000 bond. According to the court documents, the woman, whose name was withheld because she is a plaintiff in a sexual assault case, said the incident, which is alleged to have taken place at Rodriguez's home, started as an argument when he accused her of being unfaithful. He wanted her to admit to cheating on him. When she wouldn't admit to it, she alleged that he slapped her in the head twice and took her to his downstairs bedroom. She claimed he open slapped her 8 more times and also choked her. He then forced her to put on a dress and ordered her to dance for him, but she refused. She claimed Rodriguez then told her not to cry, or, and I think this is where he's going to go to jail for this, he would take her son and drop him off in the middle of the road somewhere.
Yep.
Wonderful human being. The woman...
What a piece of shit.
The woman, only described as 5'5" and 132 pounds, who only speaks Spanish, said that the ordeal lasted 4.5 hours, saying it started at about 10 p.m. and didn't stop until about 2:30 a.m. She said
nice.
She said Rodriguez also smashed her cell phone, destroyed her computer, and attempted to burn her passport. She claimed that Rodriguez ended up tying her hands with straps, put a sock in her mouth, and sexually assaulted her for several hours using his penis, other body parts, and a variety of objects. She was adamant she did not consent to any of this. She said with the sock in her mouth, sorry, I had to do that. She said with the sock in her mouth, she was having difficulty breathing. She claimed he also punched her in the back. Investigators said her injuries from the beating, including from the punch, were visible, and the responding officer saw bruises throughout her face, arms, legs, and neck. The alleged victim said she didn't remember much after he put his hand around her throat and choked her. She also said she was feeling woozy and dizzy from the shots to the head. She said she would be leaving San Antonio as she is afraid of Rodriguez. If she doesn't testify against him, that would make a conviction more difficult. If convicted by Texas law, he would be facing a minimum of 2 years in prison. And that's for this case. I think the 5 to 20 might be for the deadly weapon thing. So yeah. This guy's a piece of shit.
Yep.
And here's the thing. I want to say this. I'm just going to call him Alberto Del Rio for this. Because I don't want to call him his real name. He had the look. The body, the face, has talent. His problem is he thinks too highly of himself. Well, I mean, as far as a wrestler goes.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, when you develop a huge ego, like Del Rio has, stuff like this happens. Remember when he was dating Paige for a while?
I do.
And Paige looked like shit.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought Paige wasn't going to make it.
I thought Paige was going to die.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no problem saying that.
But she left him and managed to turn her life around.
Mm-hmm.
Del Rio, on the other hand, is just this big person, 6'3", probably 220, 220, 225. And he's just using his body as a weapon, abusing this poor woman.
Yeah, and I have absolutely no problem saying that I fucking believe her, because Del Rio has done things like this before, and I mean, once a rapist, always a rapist. That's my personal opinion about that.
But it does come down to her testifying, and she's going to have to testify. Because if she,
I feel shit for her, because they're making her go through that. It will be hard. I think it's going to be very, very, very hard for her.
Because
it's just
if she doesn't, he's going to walk off scot-free.
Right.
And here's the thing. I'm going to be straight up. There is not one single wrestling promotion in the United States of America that's going to ever want him back after this, even if he is found not guilty.
But the thing is, like, we kind of said that the last time this happened, and when it happened, they still took him in, so...
But I think this is the end here. I really do.
Maybe.
He's one of those guys, at the end of the day, no matter what happens with this trial, when it goes to trial, that's going to be looked at as an individual who had the potential to be a huge star in wrestling. But he will end up being one of those guys who wasted his ability, wasted his talent on the alcohol, the drugs, and just being an abusive piece of shit.
I mean, when they gave him the title, or were going to give him the title, or whatever it was, he fucked it up then as well in WWE. This is a pattern we are seeing from him. It's not like the first time he's doing this.
Right. But this one's gonna cost him big time.
I hope you're right.
Because, and then here's the other thing. With Mexico, for me, I think it is almost safe to say CMLL would not want to do any kind of business with him.
Right.
AAA, I want to say they won't, but I have a feeling they might, just because of the name and they get attention.
And how sad is that? That is so sad to say that.
But yeah, nobody in the United States is going to want him. Nobody in Canada is going to want him. It's going to be Mexico that might take him back. And if they don't, his career is over. His in-ring career is over.
Yeah, no, he's an abusive piece of shit. I don't want him on my screen. I don't want him in my life, and I definitely don't want to have him on my TV.
Yeah. Just remember, folks, there are people like him in this world that are cruel pieces of shit.
It's so sad as well, because it's like people have invested so much money in him.
Oh, yes.
And so much, like, talent going to waste for absolutely nothing. I mean,
he won.
Talk about spoiling yourself out of an opportunity of a lifetime.
I mean,
he could be the next John Cena if it wasn't for this.
He won, at the time, the biggest Royal Rumble ever, the 4-man Royal Rumble, which you guys can check out on Eliminated, a Royal Rumble podcast. And it was like, this guy's gonna be the next star. They're gonna put the world title on him. And then he also had injuries along the way. Let's not ignore that. He did have injuries along the way, but
it's not injuries.
No, it's
that
no.
are excusing this.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. I want to ask you something, because somebody put this poll up in our Facebook group this week, and I sort of want your opinion on this. And there are choices to this. Who is the bigger mark for themselves? Hulk Hogan or Bret Hart?
For themselves?
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan.
I think Bret Hart is the bigger mark.
Really? For himself?
Yes. Oh, I really do. It's just like...
I guess we have to agree to disagree.
Yeah, agree to disagree. Absolutely. All right, so we had a pay-per-view on Sunday.
Yeah, a pretty decent one as well.
A good post-WrestleMania pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
And I pointed this out to somebody. It was either you or our friend Steve. We did not have, for the first time in a long time that I can remember, any match from WrestleMania that took place on this pay-per-view, which is very rare.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand what you said.
Okay. We did not have any matches that took place on WrestleMania that happened again at this pay-per-view.
Ah, yes. No, we did not.
Which I think is really cool. So we are going to review each match. We have our rating, and we also have the rating of Dave Meltzer, CBS Sports, and ESPN. So we will put in Yeah.
Espen.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they're called. Espen.
Espen.
Espen. Espen.
Yep. Actually, I heard that somebody named their child that many years ago.
Well, it's not more stupid than X-Ash.
That's true. That is true. All right, so let's dive into this, Fro, if you don't mind.
I don't.
We had a pre-show match, and I questioned why this was on the pre-show. I think this should have been.
I have no clue.
This should have been on the main show, and you'll hear which match was on that I think. Well, anyway, Jeff Hardy versus Cesaro. This is Hardy's first match back since they've done this whole video package of the rise and fall and retribution of Jeff Hardy. This was a good match. I enjoyed this match. Cesaro and Jeff Hardy stayed with each other piece by piece, move by move. They did really well. Jeff Hardy got the win with the Swanton. I enjoyed this match. I don't know why this was on the pre-show when it should have been on the main show. I gave this a C+.
I gave it a C+ as well. For people that listens to the Patreon, I had not seen this match before, but I think I think they underrated or overrated another match, maybe. Perhaps. I guess.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Meltzer gave this 3.5 stars.
Okay.
Pardon me. CBS gave it a B. ESPN gave it 2 3/4 out of 5.
That seems a little weird.
Low. Yeah. Opening match of the pay-per-view. That is where we go now. It is the 4-way for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. The New Day defending against Lucha House Party, Miz and Morrison, and Forgotten Sons. Fro, why don't you take this one? Tell us what you thought about this match.
Yeah, I am very surprised that this was so good as it was. I mean, I think it's was the perfect beginning to a very okay pay-per-view. I mean, it's one of the better matches I have seen with those contestants.
The best way to put it is something that you said here and you said on our Patreon. This was the best match to start the pay-per-view off with. It really
definitely
was. Just good back and forth action. There was chemistry between all 8 people in this match. It's surprising to say in any pay-per-view. Doesn't matter if it's WWE, Impact, AEW. They just had good chemistry all together. And the other thing was each team was made believable as far as winning the tag titles. They really were. The end of the match, Big E uses the big ending on Lince Dorado, and the New Day retained the tag team titles. I enjoyed this match. I gave it a B.
Okay.
You gave it a B+ at the time.
Yes.
And you're going to stick with that.
Yes.
All right. Meltzer gave this 3.5 stars. CBS Sports gave it a B. And ESPN gave it 3 3/4 out of 5.
Okay.
Then we get to probably the low point of the pay-per-view. These next couple of matches. Because the next match is originally supposed to be R-Truth versus MVP. We have a good back and forth argument about Ballin. when all of a sudden Bobby Lashley comes out.
Boo.
And from what I got from this, MVP paid Bobby Lashley to be his substitute, so MVP took the night off.
But it's so unnecessary. It's like, why have this here at all? Like, this makes absolutely no fucking sense in any storyline, and that's one of the things that I hated about this match, because I really did not enjoy this, is that if you're going to make a match like this, and I'm totally okay if you are, you have to build it up the right way. And how they did it here was completely the wrong way.
It's a quick match. Lashley wins with a spear. I gave this a D. You gave this an F+.
Yeah, I did not enjoy this at all.
I think it's the first ever F+ match that we've ever given a grade for. Meltzer gave this 1 star. I don't know how. Are you ready for this?
Oh no.
CBS Sports gave this a C+.
Okay. It's good to know that they are at least drinking at work.
I think, once again, this has proven the point, again, that I am not too nice. I think I have proven, I think I have proven the point now to Fro. Or at least with wrestling, I'm not too nice. ESPN gave it 3/4 out of 5. But it's not the last we will see of R-Truth.
No.
Because his match was, he's going to make it up backstage later.
I mean, his backstage segment was better than this, but...
Well, we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Yep.
Next match, SmackDown Women's Title, Bayley versus Tamina. It was at least a match. It went longer than the previous match that should have been on the preview.
But it wasn't good.
Oh, no, I'm not saying it was good. I'm not.
The chemistry wasn't there, and it's just like, ugh, so boring.
Bayley.
I almost wanted to play Death Stranding when I was like watching that match. I was like, ugh.
Bayley, being the heel, works on Tamina's leg, dominates for a little bit, but Tamina does make a comeback. Actually, she has a nice spot where she picks Bayley up. She throws her into the ropes on the outside, and then grabs her again and then throws her onto the table, which actually was a nice-looking spot. It actually was. Tamina hits the splash, almost wins, but Sasha comes into the ring. Tamina catches her, and then Bayley gets her with a quick roll-up, and Bayley retains the title. After the match, Bayley and Sasha beat up Tamina. I'm going to stick with my grade. It wasn't the worst match, because we had that in the previous one. I gave this a C because there was at least an effort, an attempt of something in this match.
I think I gave this a D plus or something.
A D minus.
A D minus. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I did not enjoy this. Like, if the pay-per-view would have ended here, I would say it was a very bad pay-per-view. But happily, here is where the pay-per-view takes a turn.
Well, before we get to that, Meltzer gave this 1.5 stars. CBS Sports gave it a C, and ESPN gave this... Wait, am I reading this right? 3 out of 5.
Okay.
All right.
Good for them.
So, as Fro said, this is where the pay-per-view does turn around. because our next match is the Universal title match, Bray Wyatt versus Braun Strowman. And we're not talking about the Fiend Bray Wyatt. We're talking about regular old...
I was so happy for that.
We're talking about regular old Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood Bray Wyatt.
Right.
Bray, for the most part, takes complete control of this match. He is just beating up on Braun. And I said this in our Patreon review on Monday, and I'll say it again here. My grade was going to be a little bit different, but the more I thought about it, the psychology to this was better than, what I thought. Because Wyatt is beating up on Braun. And then Braun grabs the black sheep mask. And Bray's looking at him, and he's like, he's home! He's come home! And then you see all the puppets coming out, and they're celebrating too, like, he's home, he's home. And then Braun tricks Bray and, beats him up, hits him with a running power slam. 1, 2, 3. Braun, retains the title. And then towards the end of the segment, or towards the end of the post-match, we see a little flip of the Fiend. So this is definitely not over, which I like.
Oh, definitely.
I gave this a B-. You gave this an A-.
I did. Yeah, I thought this was going to be the match of the night. I thought this was going to be. I just really, really like this, and it talks a big point where when I like it as much as I did.
Well, Dave Meltzer disagrees with us. He gave this a dud.
Really?
I'll read his review.
Okay, please do.
Strowman tried to run over Wyatt, but he moved and Strowman ran over the announcer's table. Huskus and all the puppets were spectators at ringside cheering Wyatt on and telling Strowman to come home. Strowman kicked out of Sister Abigail. Wyatt tried it a second time, but Strowman broke it up and chokeslammed him. Strowman put on the goat mask, and Wyatt started laughing. Strowman started acting like the Strowman of old. They hugged, and the puppets were happy. Then Strowman took off his mask, stomped on the mask, and power-slammed Wyatt for the pin. After the match, they teased the idea that the Fiend would be coming for revenge. It did build to the next step, but as a match, this sucked.
Really? I really, really don't agree.
CBS Sports gave this a B. ESPN gave this 3.25 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and I think we're going to have to separate what we're going to say here, because this next match is the best match of the night as far as being done at the Performance Center. It is the...
I think this is... Yeah, I'm sorry. I was very surprised by this before we go into it. It's just, like, amazing.
It is the WWE Championship match, Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre. This is McIntyre's first pay-per-view title defense, because he already defended the night after WrestleMania that we saw after WrestleMania had ended, and that's going to be one of those things that WWE botches up for many years.
And I just want to say that every match, including this, was actually live.
Except for one.
Yeah, up to now, I said.
Right. This was an absolute fantastic match. I loved this match.
Mm-hmm.
Good chemistry, back and forth. Rollins attacks the leg of Drew because, that's the money leg for the Claymore kick. At one time, Seth grabs a chair. He's thinking about using it, has second thoughts, and puts the chair down. That was a nice twist. I liked that.
Mm-hmm.
Good back and forth. They try everything to win. Each guy can't really get it. Drew ends up hitting the Claymore kick to retain the WWE title. And then after the match, Drew puts his hand out. And Seth shakes his hand.
Yeah, after a very long pause. But
How about that?
Yeah. Very surprising.
I gave this an A-. You gave it an A+.
Mm-hmm.
Which, it probably could have gotten.
Oh, yeah. Match of the night, that was in the Performance Center.
Mm-hmm. Meltzer rated this 4.25 stars. CBS Sports gave it an A-. ESPN gave it 4.25 out of 5. All right, so now before we go to our feature presentation, we have to talk about this backstage segment with R-Truth. Just continues to show why R-Truth is one of the best talents in WWE. Not only in WWE, but in wrestling. R-Truth is looking at a picture, at a framed picture. Not really sure what. Charlie Caruso comes over. She interviews R-Truth. We find out that R-Truth is looking at the 24/7 title. And he says he wants his baby back. He wants his baby back. Not sorry. So he wants his 24/7, 48/7 European, Intercontinental, 7-Eleven, I-95 South title.
I like this.
And then he gives the best line. He's like, I'm going to sack Tom Brady.
Yeah, because Rob Gronkowski and him is totally the same person.
Yeah. The problem is, R-Truth, Rob Gronkowski is the 24/7 champion, not Tom Brady.
Oh.
However, Fro, I do want to say, and I thought up of this idea, and I'm going to bring this up again. Could it be possible if the football season comes back, American football comes back, and Rob still has the title by then, which I doubt, but if he does, could WWE do something where R-Truth runs onto the field during a game and pins Gronkowski to get his belt back?
Yes.
Oh my God! They'd have to orchestrate that so perfectly.
I said it before, and I will say it again. Nothing surprises me with WWE, and they're thinking of things. So yes, they would definitely do something crazy like that. I don't think they should, but
right. Okay, so now we go to the main event. It is the Money in the Bank ladder match. The corporate
and it's heaven.
The corporate
it's heaven.
Money in the Bank ladder match.
Yes. So good.
So the object of this, or the object of the match is, you start on the first floor of the headquarters. And you are to go all the way to the top. And then you are to go into the ring, and then you are to grab the briefcase, your respective briefcase, and that is how you win. So, this is how it's done. The women start at the lobby. of the headquarters. The men start at the weight room, and I did somebody posted this. The weight room is on the first floor, so technically they did start on the first floor.
Well, that's not what they said, though.
No, well, they didn't say it on TV, but I read a report that.
Right, but they said everybody would start in the lobby.
Right, exactly. They did say that everyone's supposed to start in the lobby, but.
And that is going to be my biggest fail of this. I think it's good, but it's just like.
So Asuka starts on a railing of the second floor and dives onto the women, the other 5 women. So she has an early advantage. She then goes to the elevator, gets on, the door closes just in time, and Asuka's on her way.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, the men, they're fighting in the gym. King Corbin picks up a weight and throws it at Daniel. Daniel moves out of the way, and Corbin breaks a mirror in the process.
Yeah, so he will be unlucky for 7 years.
Yeah. So they continue this fighting, and then Otis, who has AJ on the floor, picks up this weight, this barbell, and just gently puts it over AJ Styles. So everyone is leaving the gym, and Rey Mysterio stops, and AJ's like, Rey, can you help me? Can you help me lift this up? And he's like, you're loco. So as the guys are running, Rey Mysterio stops at the bathroom, and he sees Brother Love. I love you. So
such a good cameo.
Yeah, we have our first cameo of the match.
And it was so fun.
It was in the bathroom, so toilet humor. So the women, they go up the steps to catch Asuka. The men are then on another floor, and it's like a display where there's like ropes and stuff. So the men are fighting there. The women are looking for Asuka. Asuka makes, in my opinion, a mistake. She should have stayed in the elevator because she probably would have made it to the top had she stayed.
Yeah.
She gets off and starts running. Meanwhile, Corbin gets tied into the rope. Daniel's kicking away, and Otis is doing the yes chant. To which Otis gets kicked. And then we have our second cameo appearance, Doink. But
the real Doink the Clown. Definitely not the imposter or anything, because Doink the Clown is definitely alive.
Yeah, Fro,
Definitely. Okay. Okay. I can't hear you.
Okay. So the women are continuing looking for Asuka, and they end up in, and I kid you not, folks, the Money in the Bank conference room.
Mm-hmm.
This is an actual room in the building. So we have Shayna, Nia, Carmella, and Dana fighting. Sorry, I had to put that in there. Fighting in the room. So Nia and Shayna,
that
they
was such
fight.
A stupid joke.
They get knocked out. Carmella gets knocked out. Dana then sees the Money in the Bank briefcase. She climbs onto the table. She grabs the briefcase. Dana's won. Dana has won the Money in the Bank briefcase. She's done it.
I like this.
And then Stephanie McMahon comes, and she tells her, what are you doing? This is not the actual briefcase. It is up on the roof. And could you please clean up the drool? Nia Jax is making a mess.
Very funny.
Okay, now I do have to bring this up because we are talking about Dana Brooke Jim Cornette had comments about Dana Brooke.
Of course he did.
And you know what? He might not be wrong on this quote. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
This is how he described Dana Brooke.
Okay.
Her entire face looks like it was remodeled after somebody set fire to it and put it out with an axe. Did she do that on purpose, or she was in a horrible accident?
Oh, wow. Wow.
I mean,
that's not nice.
Not wrong.
But he's not wrong, but that's not nice. Wow.
I apologize to the Dana Brooke fans out there.
Yeah, I'm not one of those.
So AJ manages to escape the weights that are holding him down, and he's looking for Ray. And then he sees a picture of the Undertaker, and he's starting to get flashbacks. Then he opens up a door, and there's a casket, and he's like, "No, can't be." And Aleister Black pushes him into the room and closes the door, and Styles is scared to death. But he's not locked in, though. Then we have Paul Heyman at a table eating food. And it looks like he's going to eat a bunch of half-cut sandwiches that you probably would get from a platter.
Mm.
Everybody comes in. Paul Heyman accidentally throws food at Otis. And we get... Bro, why don't you tell him?
Food fight!
Yep, your classical Money in the Bank food fight. Ray gets choked out by Shayna at one point, which was a little funny. Basically, it's a food fight segment. What do you expect? And then we see Nia and Otis staring at each other. Otis has a sandwich in his hand. He's eating it while he's looking at Nia. And they just go on their way. Otis ends up in the cafeteria of WWE. He eats, looks like some nuts. And then he's got a pie. And then, all of a sudden, "Hi, I'm John Laurinaitis. I represent people power." So we got our John Laurinaitis appearance, and he gets a pie in the face for his trouble. Then we get the women. They're running. Asuka's talking to a janitor who doesn't understand what Asuka is saying. And then the other women chase Asuka. Dana chases, and then she slips and falls. She's out of the match.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is this segment a little racist? When the janitor doesn't understand her language, or is it just overthinking it?
I think you're overthinking it.
Okay.
It would be racist if the guy was making fun of her.
Sure.
So anyway, the women, they're chasing their way to the top. Meanwhile, AJ and Daniel Bryan, they were fighting, and they fight into Vince McMahon's office. And he's pissed, and I noticed this, he's wearing jeans. I've never seen Vince wear jeans.
Yeah, we talked a little about that. I don't think I have ever seen that either.
So he yells at AJ and Daniel to get out, but before they do, they push the chairs in that they moved over, and then AJ and Daniel are having to talk like, "He got mad at you." Me? He was yelling at you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and there was one part that we do have to mention. Vince put hand sanitizer on himself after AJ and Daniel left.
Yep. But another good cameo. Again, with a good cameo. They really brought out the whistles for this, it felt like.
So then the guys continue to fight, and then we reach the roof. We have finally made it to the roof. Now it's time to get serious. Asuka and Nia Jax are the first two women to make it to the ring, followed by Lacey Evans. At this point, they are the only three of the women left. Nia attempts to climb the ladder. Asuka stops her. Fight. And then comes down to Lacey and Asuka. But Nia makes one last attempt to come back. But Asuka knocks both of them down. So Asuka is climbing the ladder. And then all of a sudden, King Corbin comes out. He starts climbing up the ladder, and they both have an argument. Because I would imagine Corbin is thinking that, Asuka's going for his briefcase, which could be either one. Corbin gets kicked off for his trouble. Asuka grabs the women's briefcase. Asuka is Miss Money in the Bank, which I was so happy for. I know I picked Lacey Evans, but I love Asuka. She definitely deserved to win that match. And then what became of, the next night, she ends up becoming the women's champion.
Yeah, I think this was the right decision. I was very happy to see this, and I don't think I could pick a better winner.
Well, I read this morning that was not the original ending. Because if Becky had not told WWE that she was pregnant, Shayna Baszler was going to win this match.
Right.
So that's two big matches in less than 6 months that Shayna Baszler has been screwed out of. She got screwed out of the Royal Rumble because Paul Heyman wanted Drew to go over, and Vince was like, all right, I'll give you Drew, but I gotta have Charlotte win. And now she gets screwed out of this because Becky got pregnant.
Yeah, you almost have to feel sad for them.
Almost.
As I said, almost.
I know. So now we get to the men. All 6 eventually make it. They make it up to the roof. They're fighting. And Corbin throws Ray off of the roof of WWE headquarters. But it was only to the next level. So he didn't really go. I know. Although there was a funny video on Twitter where somebody used the Goofy yell for Ray getting thrown off.
Aww.
Which is the better yell, the Goofy yell or the Wilhelm yell?
The Goofy.
Yeah, I gotta go Goofy. It's just funnier. You could use that in any instance, and it just makes it funny. I'll just do it anyway. There was a guy who I saved the video. I'll send it to you, Fro, after the show, where he does a very good Goofy impersonation, and he's doing scenes from different movies. So he does this one from, I think it's Commando, the Schwarzenegger movie.
Right.
And he does the line, he's like, you know how I said I was going to save you for last? Yeah. I lied. I'll have to send that video to you.
Good one.
So then Aleister Black gets thrown off. Daniel Bryan gets knocked out. Otis gets sent to one side of the ring. So now we're down to AJ and Baron Corbin. They both climb the ladder. They both grab the ladder. They both pull it down at the same time. Okay, well, you can't have a tie. One of them's got to win.
Right.
All of a sudden, here comes Elias. He hits Corbin in the back with his guitar. Knocks Corbin out. So AJ now has the briefcase. Oh no, AJ lost the briefcase, and it falls right into Otis's hands. Otis wins.
I very much like this.
In all honesty,
very good way of doing it.
In all honesty, Fro, I don't think too many people saw Otis winning this. I know I didn't.
No, I didn't.
What a great surprise ending. And because I think what it is, like the actual rule is you have to be the first person with full possession of the briefcase.
Right.
To win the match. And Otis had full possession of the briefcase.
Yeah, we can't really complain, can we?
Well, Jim Cornette did. Do you want me to read his thoughts?
Oh, please. Because I have so much respect for Jim Cornette. Oh wait, I don't.
Well, I've actually met him, and I personally like the guy. But
okay.
So here's what he says. I hate Otis. Did I mention in my notes I hate Otis? So Otis has a world title opportunity. He starts to rip off his notes. F these effing people. The pandemic is going to kill 50 million people. It's going to kill wrestling.
Wow.
I take it someone is upset about Otis winning.
I guess so.
But here's the thing, though. And I had read that comment. I did read that quote. And somebody, actually it was Jim who talked to me. And he made total sense of this. And I believe it. You know who Otis is? He's you and me.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy who is this overweight guy. Not the most handsome looking guy.
Well, definitely not.
Tries to get the girl. And actually gets the girl. And then he gets the briefcase to win. He's us. He is the people. He is this guy who is 5'10", 330 pounds. Like I said, not the most handsome looking guy in the world. He's sort of a common man. I'm not saying he's Dusty Rhodes. He's not Dusty Rhodes. Let me just say that for the record. He's the everyday guy who, when society looks at you, society wouldn't give two shits about you in the world. But he
I can't disagree with that. That's a very good point.
That is what Otis is. And Otis has become maybe the most realistic character in wrestling today.
That's also a very good point.
Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, we both love AEW.
Oh, yeah.
But is there a character that you can honestly say resembles an average guy like you or me?
No.
No. Same with New Japan. And we love New Japan. Is there a guy that resembles the everyday person in New Japan? No.
No.
Same with Ring of Honor. Same with Impact. Same with the NWA. Everywhere. WWE found this guy who did the Performance Center training, went through NXT, went up to the main roster, and the people just naturally fell in love with this guy.
Yeah.
Because
but it's definitely his charisma.
I think amazing charisma.
Yeah. I think he's very underrated charisma.
Now, am I saying he's going to be the next heavyweight champion of the world? I don't know.
I don't think they really need it on him. I don't think he will go for that. I think maybe he will go for the Universal.
But would he really? But would they really put the belt on him? That's my thing. I don't know. But it would
I don't
complete
know
the
if I
story.
care.
It would
Yeah.
complete the story of, this guy who shouldn't be in this position does it. But here's the thing, though, Fro, and this is where WWE has an advantage with this story. They have 1 year to pull this off.
Yeah.
They don't have to. They don't have to cash it in right away. I think what will happen, the first live crowd they get for SmackDown or a pay-per-view where the Universal title is on the line, Otis is going to cash in. The first chance they get.
Really?
I really do.
I don't believe that, to be honest.
Okay.
I think they want to build him up.
Yeah. Which they
So
should.
I think it will be longer than that.
Okay. But yeah, Otis.
I wouldn't be sad if I was wrong. By the way.
Right. But Otis is us. He is the regular guy that should not be in this position, but is.
He's a sexy man. Sexy man.
All right, let's get to the grades. We both loved this match. I gave it an A+. You gave it an S, which is supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, for those that don't know. Meltzer did not give this a grade, and I'm actually going to give him a pass on this because it goes back to what I had said in our Patreon review on Monday, which is there's going to be 2 crowds to this match. You're going to have the crowd that's going to think this is a serious match, beginning to end, and they're going to hate it. And then you're going to have the crowd that should already know not to take most of this match seriously until they get to the roof. And then that's when you take it seriously. That's basically the 2 crowds there.
I agree.
So Meltzer did not give this match a grade. CBS Sports gave it a C-.
Ooh, that's low.
ESPN gave it 3.25 out of 5. And those are the grades for all the matches. Now, what did our Facebook group think of the pay-per-view? Well, actually, before we do that, Fro, why don't you give your grade of the pay-per-view?
My overall, I have such a problem if it's a B or a C pay-per-view with this because that's where it's between. It's either an extremely weak B or an extremely strong C, but I landed on a B because I think it deserves that.
All right, this is how I'm going. You had a very good kickoff. You actually had maybe one of the best kickoff matches they've had, believe it or not. Then you had a really good opening match to the pay-per-view. Then you had a couple throwaway matches in the middle. Your last 3 matches were good, but your last 2 were amazing. This is going to get a B grade for me. I thought this was overall a good pay-per-view. Not the pay-per-view of the year. Didn't have any, match of the year candidates on there. But I just thought it was a good enough pay-per-view to get a B grade. So, now, our Facebook group. Most people went with the B grade for this show.
Nice.
Some people gave the show a D, which is understandable. One person gave it a C. One person gave it an F.
Oh, that's a little too low.
Nobody gave this an A.
Nobody?
Nobody.
Okay.
And then, favorite match from the pay-per-view, we have a tie between Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre and the Money in the Bank ladder match. And one lonely person who probably might have been on drugs voted R-Truth versus Bobby Lashley as the best match.
I love trolls.
I think it's safe to say we both agree the Money in the Bank ladder match was the best match of the pay-per-view.
Although I will say that Seth Rollins' match is close.
Oh, God, yeah. It was definitely close. It really was. Could have gone either way. Really could have. Well, I think that's gonna just about do it this week here on That Wrestling.
Yeah, there's no pay-per-view this week.
No, none this week. But we'll get into our previews for next week.
Yeah.
So if you guys have any questions or comments, send an email, wrestlingman@thatwrestlingshow.com. Follow us on Twitter at WrestlingShow11. Follow us on Instagram at That Wrestling Show. Join the Facebook group, That Wrestling Show fan group. And don't forget to check out the Patreon page, patreon.com/That Wrestling Show. And by this
to tease the audience, you can hear me sing.
Yes, I was going to say that. We got a new Fro watches that'll be up this weekend, so you guys can check out what it is, and you could pledge for as low as $1, and you'd get it. That's how easy.
I had very much fun watching Disney and sing along, and there will be another Disney sing along because they actually did two. So I saw it on by mistake. I was like, "Oh, what is this?" And I was like, "Oh, who's the host for Ryan Seacrest?"
Ryan Seacrest.
Yes, Ryan Seacrest presents, and it's like it's filled with celebrities and good songs, and yeah, it's actually one of my most enjoyable things I have watched in a while. And you can hear how I don't know some Disney songs, and you will be very shocked by maybe a Disney movie that I have never seen.
For the record, they had asked me to be on there, but they wanted me to wear the ears. And I was like, hell no, you ain't gonna have me wearing no damn mouse ears. So I wasn't on. Another Digital Citizen. That comes up every Wednesday. What did you guys discuss this week?
We talked about the Mark of the Beast conspiracy, or how people think that the new vaccine that's coming for the corona is the Mark of the Devil. So, yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Yes. Very fun.
Very lovely.
Yes. Stupid people. I love stupid people.
They're stupid people. All right. Let's plug some other podcasts you guys should check out. Check out our Vantage Point, the Retro Wrestling Podcast with Joe Murata and the birthday boy, Michael Quinn. Happy birthday, Michael Quinn.
Happy birthday.
We tried to get a sexy female singer to come on our show to sing to you, but Fro's credit cards bounced.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. There.
I said sexy female, not Norwegian. But anyway, this week, in their fresh perspective, they talk about house shows, which is a very good topic, actually, to listen to. Plus, week 3 of the Royal Flush of the worst WWF Tag Team Champions of all time, and a review of Livewire, excuse me, from August 30th, 1997. Now, and of course, because they are friends of ours and we're friends of theirs, we're going to plug their Patreon, because this weekend they are coming out with a special review, a special WCW pay-per-view review of Halloween Havoc 1991, which happens to be a guilty pleasure show of mine. So check it out, Our Vantage Point, the Retro Wrestling Podcast. Now, if you like your podcasts hosted by one individual who thinks that cats are cool and your parents are cousins, check out
Greetings from Allentown.
He watches one particular episode of pro wrestling each week and talks about it in his own unique way. This week is a special episode, Fro, because he didn't watch a wrestling show.
Oh.
Instead, he watched 2 episodes of The Family Feud.
That wasn't the right music, but...
So anyway, he talks about an episode with the Superstars of the World Wrestling Federation, and an episode
I've seen that. Yeah.
where WCW faces the Women of Glow Wrestling.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
So check it out. Greetings from Allentown. Also,
spoiler alert, the first one is the better.
Also, check out The Road Home from Wrestling with our pal Drusifer Jones. This week, they review the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. I have not had a chance to hear their thoughts on that, so I'm probably going to check that out in a little bit, see what they thought of the pay-per-view. That is The Road Home from Wrestling. And
every time I hear that, I think, Sweet Home Alabama.
And we have a brand new wrestling podcast that we're going to be plugging here.
What?
I let him plug on Facebook. I've been listening this week, and I think it's time to put him into the mix. Juice Pro Wrestling. I met Juice when we did an episode of Eliminated, a Royal Rumble podcast. Very fun guy. They mix up not only pro wrestling, but also heavy metal music. This week, they have a couple of episodes up. They have Hideous and Horrific with Matt Bishop, where they talk about heavy metal music. And in their weekly show, they have Andre Corbeil joining them, where they talk about the history of wrestling, Impact, the metric system, Bill Apter, and much, much more. That is Juice Pro Wrestling. Check them out.
The metric system?
Hey, maybe you want to tune in. I mean, the metric system rules where you are.
The metric system rules everywhere.
Well, except here in the United States.
And that's because you're stubborn.
We're not stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
If you want stubborn, you can meet my dad.
Yeah.
Actually, he's in the room right now, so I can say that. Anyway, also, non-wrestling related podcasts. Check out the Best Pick Movie podcast with John, Paul, you know the 3. I don't have to say it by now. They watched each and every Best Picture Academy Award-winning movie in no particular order, and every once in a while they'll throw in a special. Well, this week happens to be a special because they talk about Citizen Kane, the movie that did not win Best Picture for 1941.
One of my favorite movies of all time.
All right, Fro, I'm going to put you on the spot right now. Because they asked this question at the end of the episode, but I'm going to ask you this. Is Citizen Kane the greatest movie ever made?
No.
Do you have Do you have a choice or no?
Inception.
I agree with you that this is not the best movie ever made. I think it's The Godfather.
The Godfather is up there, yeah, definitely.
It's just about the perfect movie. So, anyway, check out Unspooled with Paul and Amy. They watch each and every movie of AFI's list of the 100 greatest movies of all time, 2007. This week, they're taking a break from the list because they had a special watch-along, which you can now hear on your MP3 phone devices, because they watched the movie House Party.
Oh.
Which I've never seen.
You should.
Maybe I will. Also check out Shark's Pond, a South Park podcast where I watch and review each and every South Park episode. This week, the episode that I am reviewing is Margarine.
Like the butter?
Like the butter.
Oh, I don't remember that episode.
Well, then you might want to check out my review of it and see if it brings up any memories or not.
Memories.
Alright, so next week, we got a packed show because we are previewing AEW Double or Nothing next week.
I'm really looking forward to that pay-per-view.
That's going to be a fun pay-per-view. I can't wait to go through the matches, make predictions. And I should mention this, Mike Tyson will be at that pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Because he will be presenting the TNT Championship to the winner of the Cody Lance Archer match.
Yeah, I almost said who is going to win, but we're going to talk about that next week.
Yeah, we'll save that for next week.
Yeah.
Plus, some wrestling news. Probably not as good as this week, but we'll talk about some wrestling news. And
is it good when somebody beats each other? Okay.
I was thinking about the pregnancy.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, on that note, everybody, have a good, safe weekend, and come back right here next week for another episode of That Wrestling Show, the podcast where all pro wrestling matters. And as always,
Alberto Del Rio is a dick.
wrestle on.